Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And now I can hear you too.
Now you
Hey,
have.
Dana, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. First of all, I'll just tell you that I'm on satellite, so there is a lag. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Second thing is last night we had a storm. I'm out in the middle of the bush here,
Oh,
and we lost power. We have no power, so I'm running the satellite and everything off of the generator right now. So if
right.
if it cuts out, don't worry, it's not me. It's just that I have to go and do something.
Oh, I got to, of course. Well, you know what? Maybe we can have a quick conversation today, just a few things, and then we can talk more later when you've got a little more power.
Oh, I got a big generator and lots of gas. I don't worry about that. I live in the bush, so
Yeah, you live in the bush. Yes.
whatever. And I'm sorry, I look like hell.
Oh, good.
Last night was a very, very hard night. I don't know if you seen Maverick Media News last night,
No, I
but
didn't.
I'm going to send you the link because what we're about to talk about was all aired last night. He actually caught Ron and all of these people in their lies and expose them, which was really amazing to us. You know, James and I, we've sat back and we've been trying to be very professional, very quiet about this, just trying not
Yeah,
to react to some of the very bad stuff Jason's putting out there and all of this stuff. Because if you react to it,
yeah,
you just feed it. You feed it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we don't want to feed anything. We didn't even want to talk to you or anybody because it's going to be used against us. If we speak to MSM, we've already been threatened that in the freedom circles and some of the broadcasters were used by these people to say, "Oh, look, James said something to the reporters." Well, you can't even imagine how many reporters are actually contacting James and I right now. And
yeah.
we picked two people to talk to. Two. One is you, which nobody knows about because I haven't said anything, okay, other than to James. And the other one
Right,
is Matthew Harwood after his horrible story in the Western Standard yesterday.
right.
But in his story, he actually only wrote one thing from me, one comment, saying that I will not feed this on social media.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a good comment. He actually did okay. He apologized to us because James was pretty upset with him from
Yeah, I
his.
don't blame him.
So it started off a little rocky.
Mhm.
Their paper ended up apologizing to us and saying that what they wrote was not indicative of their morals or values of the paper. Okay?
Wow.
Because they didn't do their due diligence. They wrote all of that stuff
Exactly.
that Jason told them. They wrote all of that only to slander. And we threatened
Mhm.
them. Yes, we did. But instead of going that route, we figured, you know what? Let's just be honest. Let's just show you what we have, you know? And
Mhm.
if I didn't lose power and stuff, I was going to show you a couple things today on my laptop. But I have 5 freezers and 3 fridges plugged in, and I don't want to plug in anything else.
Very reasonable.
Uh, so, anyways, this stream went on last night for 3 hours, where they showed Jason's rhetoric about me. They showed Ron's attack on Canada Unity, and they questioned Ron. Well, and they challenged him to get on the show. Well, he did go on the show.
Hmm.
There was no clear messaging. There was a lot of gaslighting and things like this. So people seen the truth last night a bit. So now what we have to do is James and I, we have to respond in some way. but we want to be very
Yeah.
careful. We want to be very careful about it because, we have 80,000 members in a group, and that's no small feat to retain that many people. Okay.
No.
And these are good
Right.
Canadians. They're just confused. They're being sidetracked. They're being led down different paths and stuff by people like Jason. Um, we didn't expect. James has a big heart. He's a little misguided sometimes, uh,
Mm.
but he's a true Canadian. He's a Canadian that had to stand up. And if we didn't have people that stood up and pushed the government's buttons like James did, then we would have never had anything happen. Okay? And
Right.
so these people that like to say that put it back on us, it's your ego and all of this, that's why you did what you did and all of this. No, people just don't know the truth. And we tried to be as
Yeah.
diplomatic as possible. We really, really did. So Jason LeFace he's an enigma right now because we don't know the truth about him. He's a
Yeah.
very evil man. I've researched him and he's demonic. He really is. There's actually a demonic picture of him out there, you know? So his baseless claims don't bother me whatsoever. Whatsoever. Now, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me and I will happily answer. How's that?
Wonderful. Sounds perfect to me. I feel like I know every last name Jason has ever gone by. There's
I
at least 5 of them.
Oh yeah.
And so I see him at the bus station when I take the bus to work. He's been a part of this community for some time. And so I think that sort of offers me in this situation a chance well, I know who he is. You know what I mean? And I'm still, of course, because I'm a reporter who offers all context, I'm going to be contacting him to ask if he wants to talk about this. But I know who he is, and I know how to challenge him on the things he's going to say because I know him. I've been watching him for a decade. You know what I mean?
And I haven't.
So
I
I
had to
do.
find out. I had to find out some of this stuff.
And I'm sort of hoping that as we continue, I firmly believe that what is done in the dark must always be brought to light. And I'm hoping that's what we can do, that we can bring this to light so people see that actual true story.
Yeah, and I have been. My life has been open since before the conception of the internet. I owned one of the largest bulletin board systems before the internet was invented. Okay.
Really?
And I ran that. It's called the Land of Id BBS. It was posted in all of the bulletin board big books we used to get before the internet and all of this. When the internet started up, I worked for places. I alpha tested Hotmail. I alpha tested a lot of things. I tested 2,800 apps for Google. These are good things, you know, and they're not in the dark. My life has been out there. And I don't worry.
Yeah.
I don't worry about anything like this because I don't have any secrets. I don't have any dirt on
Yeah.
me. I've never broken a law. I've never been suspected up until standing in peace. You know,
Yeah.
things like this. And yes, I will say that in the past, because of my positions within the government, I have worked with directly with the Prime Minister's detail. I have worked with RCMP. I have worked with the police on things of matters of domestic dispute and things like this. Not
Like a consultant kind of thing?
no. I was I was I was attacked by my own brother. And, this is why I have scars and I've been shot and I've been stabbed and all of these things from evil people. Okay. Now, when you see evil happening, it doesn't even matter if it's your own brother doing the evil. You have to say something.
Yeah, I agree.
And yes, I put my own brother in prison. And I paid heavily for it. So when Jason says he works with the cops, he's using this broad term of personal accounts that I spoke to him with. I don't work with the cops on freedom movement. I don't work with the cops. I did have to work with the cops when they came to the KOA when we had a death. Who do you think dealt with that with the cops? I did.
That was the Canada Day camping?
Yes, I helped run that whole thing. This is where This is where I met Jason, and this is where you're going to get a little bit of You're going to get a little bit of backstory on how I got involved with Canada Unity.
Okay, give me just 1 second because I definitely want to hear that. I'm just going to do a little bit of administrative stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take a picture of the screen. My editor is very big on due diligence. So I'm just going to do that to show that we talked. Hey, man, that's a good sign. Okay. And so I'm going to, hang on 1 second. So I am just going to pop some new batteries in. I'm recording on my little recorder, but it's just for me. It's not going to be broadcast. It's just so I can make sure and get your notes and all that kind of stuff, your quotes, right? So I was looking at your website last night. It's a really great looking website. There's a lot of information on there. A lot of great photos too. There was some good ones taken of you at the convoy.
Well, I actually made the front page of almost every reputable newspaper in the world.
Oh yeah, I saw you on the New York Times.
And that guy actually followed me around for 2 weeks and talked to me. So though they didn't write very nice things, they used my picture and they didn't write anything bad about me. Nothing has ever been written bad about me, even though every one of these places uses my picture. Every morning at 6 a.m., you can go and watch CBC live morning show, and they use my picture for their advertisements. Now, I've warned them to stop using my picture to make money, but I sent them a cease and desist 2 months ago, and they haven't stopped. So I'm allowing it to happen so that when I can hold them accountable, I will. Right now, I make $733 a month. It is, you can't even imagine how hard it is to live off of $733 a month while you're sick.
No, and then to have all of this happen too, eh?
And I'm still a government employee to this day. They can't fire me, or maybe they can, we're not sure, but they haven't, because it would look so bad on them.
Where did you work for the government?
The place I work for right now is SaskTel.
Right, okay.
The Crown Corporation, the billion-dollar corporation. Yeah. Why would these billion-dollar corporations hire me for my knowledge? And now, because I became a whistleblower, in 2014, I wrote documents about my experiences working within the government. And I put supporting documents and stuff. This is when my life started to change. Because they hired me for my knowledge to use for them, when I found out that and could prove that they were being very nasty to their employees and everybody else, I became the target. Okay? and they have done nasty things to me. I have a
Yeah.
great team of lawyers though, and I've been suing them for over 4 years now.
Wow.
We just went to arbitration because by law in Saskatchewan, before it goes to the courts, it has to go to arbitration.
Okay.
After a 4-hour meeting, this government, we said, okay, so you're at arbitration. You said in the beginning that you're willing to make some kind of deal and stuff like that. What are you showing up with? And they wouldn't tell us. They wouldn't tell us. And after 3 hours, finally, the arbitrator said you have to give something. Well, they offered $25,000. Okay, that doesn't even
Wow.
cover 1 year of my lawyer bills.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wow.
it was just ridiculous. When they said that, my lawyers just immediately said, "We are done here. Now we go to court."
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I could see.
so um, this this stuff that's going on, and people like
Mhm.
Jason, I believe, are all purposely doing things like this because they don't want people like me to have their stories out there on what the government has done to me when I've been a good citizen. Anyways,
So what is it about yeah, no, I what is it about the freedom movement that really caught your eye when you first heard about it? What was it that sort of made you want to join this group of people?
well, um, in 2018, I lost the love of my life to cancer, and
Um,
I I lost my best friend as well that lived with me for
yeah.
30 years. He lived with me. Even while I was married, he lived in my basement, you know. And
Wow.
when that happened, imagine the the very few people that you speak to every day all of a sudden just disappear.
Yeah.
Okay. I had nobody. My parents are getting old and they needed help.
Yeah.
So I talked to them and I said, "There's nothing left for me here in Saskatoon. Um, I will come and live in my hunt camp if I have to." And Dad said, "Okay, we support you. Um, come here and we'll make a deal that." I said that if I was to come here, I never want my sisters or brothers to live beside me. So I made a deal with my father
Right.
to purchase all of his properties, and he believed in me. So while I'm here, I pay rent just like everybody else. Okay.
Okay.
And but they do help me with extras because I don't make a whole lot of money,
Right, of course. Yeah.
you
That's
know.
what parents are for. Yeah.
So I was sitting here for a year during COVID in 2020, and I was making videos on Facebook. You can watch those videos, and
Yeah.
nobody was listening, and some people did, but
Mm.
it my good messages were not getting out there. So
Oh, I see.
as I was sitting here in the cottage one day, and I see all of these beautiful Canadians just starting to stand up finally. I wasn't alone anymore. And um,
Take your time. We got lots of time. Don't worry.
I I made a video the night before I left here.
Mm.
And it was right after my parents are vaccinated and they believe and they followed all of the rhetoric and the lies and everything. But we have agreed to disagree and not fight amongst ourselves on it, because one thing my parents taught me my entire life, one of the main lessons was, it's your choice. It was your choice to
Yeah.
do that. It's your choice to do this. It's your choice. So this was pounded into me my whole life. And so this is, I said, Dad, can I just show you 3 videos? Because every time I talked about freedom or holding our government accountable, it was a non-issue. They don't want to speak about it. So they're too old, is what they say, you know. And this is part of the problem in our country, is because people like Justin Trudeau, they know that these old people are not going to fight. They know it. And it's a large section of our population that he has manipulated. They don't watch online. They only watch CBC and CTV, which has been horrible. So I sat with my father. My father was sitting down, and I was showing him on my pad. I showed him 2 videos of the beautiful Canadians gathering as these trucks were rolling across the country. And all my dad said to those 2 videos was, radicals. And then I said, okay, Dad. I said, how about this video? And I bring up the video of Justin in French calling us misogynists and all of this stuff. And I show him that video. And he looks up at me and he says, that's not right. Do you want to drive to Ottawa? And,
Wow.
so I made that video before I left. I'm not a online personality, or I never wanted to be. You can see this in all of my stuff for the last 15 years on Facebook, you know. So I made the video and I predicted what was going to happen, first of all, and I said what I was going to do. One thing I noticed as the trucks were rolling across the country was there was a lot of bad actors. There was a lot of bad actors. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what? I'm a man with no dirt on me. I think I need to stand for my country. But what skills do I have? What can I do to help? What would make a difference?
Right.
So I thought about standing in peace, not saying anything. And when I went, I wore a camera on my head. 2 of them, actually. And there is 45 hours of video that nobody has seen because I haven't shared it. If I was some kind of ego tripper or something like that, I would have been putting that stuff out.
Yeah.
But I'm not that person. I figured that we could use this video in the EA inquiry or in law or something like that. But when I was contacted...
Just a record of...
Yeah. So I contacted the EA and I said, I have a lot of information because I just happened to get to know people while I was there, and I had all this video and stuff like this. And I was focused on by papers all around the world, and I did some interviews and things like this. So I held on to that stuff. And when the EA said, I'm sorry, we have too many people. Well, at first they said, we want to hear your story. They emailed me. Yes, we want to hear it. We want to hear it. When I started to get into
Who was
discussion,
it that emailed you?
the commission,
The prosecutor, like the Crown? Oh,
the what's his designation? The coordinator.
oh, okay, perfect.
Okay, so the coordinator contacts me, and they said we want to hear your story and all of this.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I get an email back saying, "I'm sorry, we're full. We're not taking anybody else. Blah blah blah. You can submit your stuff online." But I have court cases. If I submit anything not under oath, I can have anything used against me. Okay? And I was charged with 4 charges for standing in peace. And I am claiming that these charges were done illegally. It was false arrest. And stuff. I can't go into the case because I have agreements not to talk about the case. But
Okay.
I did find out on Friday. I went to court, or my lawyers did, and I am actually going to trial for standing in peace in January of 2024 for 4 days.
Wow.
So, uh,
Wow.
yeah. The Crown would not drop the charges, did not have any proof of illegal activity in any of their disclosure, by the way. And I had 6 lawyers look over the 90 pages of disclosure they gave on me. There was not one law broken. They never had any police notes. Before you can arrest somebody, you have to have a police note. It's part of the law. So, despite that, they still didn't want to drop anything.
Right.
The last deal that they offered me, now, one of the problems that we have in the freedom movement is a lot of these people that got arrested took deals. That's not holding the
Yeah.
line. That is not holding the line. That makes it worse for all of us. So the last deal that was given to me was absolute discharge, no criminal record, no fines, but it comes with an admission of guilt.
I see.
I said no. My lawyer came to me, asked me, I said no. I told you when we started this, I was never going to plead guilty to these 4 charges. And she said, well, it's your decision. I am behind you 100%. Now here's where I have to interject a little bit about how I met my lawyer. You will notice that
Okay.
my lawyer is not out in the public. She doesn't say anything. Almost nobody knows who she is. Okay? So I'm standing in peace downtown, and this lawyer in Ottawa on O'Connor Street decides she is going to walk through the whole thing, take pictures, and write a blog, not talk to anybody. That's what her plan was. So, as I'm standing there, this lady comes up and leans down and she takes a picture. And if you look on my Facebook, that background picture that's kind of whited out and I'm standing in the middle, that
Yep.
that is the picture that she took. She wrote her blog and she wrote, as I was walking through the protest, I see a man and he's standing motionless in peace. I decide to bend down and take a picture. But as I was standing up, this man broke his stance and reached his arms out to me, which I did. And I didn't do it often, but I did it to I don't know. I got a feeling sometimes, and I did it to very few people. But I reached my arms out like this, and she wrote in her blog, I decided to walk up to this man and give him a hug because many others were. And she said that was the best hug I ever received. So fast forwarding, 2 weeks later, she sees on helicopter footage me getting arrested, standing still in peace.
Yeah.
For 2 weeks, she calls around and she starts contacting every trucker she could find. And I'm getting messages from truckers saying, hey, Dana, this woman is after you. This woman wants to find you. I don't know what she is or whatever. And then finally, one day, but nobody gave me her number. And finally, one day in March, Reverend Kevin calls me up and says, listen, this woman wants to speak to you. She is my lawyer. And I think you need to speak to her. So I call her up and we have a 2-hour conversation. And she says to me that she believes in me. And, I tell her I have no money. I just spent almost $30,000 of all my savings. I had savings. I have nothing left because of all of the events that I put on. And one thing you'll notice in all of my social media, my website, everything, I've never asked anybody for money, ever, because I used my own and I shut up about it. I didn't taunt it. I didn't flout it, none of that. And so she said, okay, I'm going to try to make this free for you. I want to represent you. And I signed a retainer.
Wow.
I signed a retainer with her and I said, well, you're going to need some type of retainer. I said, I have $1,000 I can give you just as a retainer because all my friends, the truckers, the people that got arrested are all being soaked for money. It's crazy. $5,500 for first consultation. What the hell is that? From these lawyers that got up on our stage in Ottawa and said, we will represent you. But that's not what happened. It's lies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I sent her $1,000 and she said, I'm going to try to get some funding with my other lawyers and stuff like this to help you pay your bills. But she said, I want to do something. I want to put an application in somewhere to see if they will sponsor you. And will you sign this paper? Will you let me try to do that? And I said, sure. And I signed the paper. And I don't hear back for 2 months. And I go to court a couple times already in the first couple months, right? And then after 2 months, she contacts me and has an 8-page new retainer. And it's from the JCCF. They investigated me. They checked me out. They have a very stringent acceptance policy. You can't do anything not peaceful. You can't have any dirt on you, all of this stuff. So I passed all of their criteria and they accepted to pay my bills to my personal lawyer. I don't have JCCF lawyers. I have a personal lawyer, but they are paying my bills. And if my lawyer needs help or advice or whatever, she can reach out to them. But so far, she has been fantastic, and I cannot complain. So
it's good that you have the support.
So JCCF puts out their news release. This news release is extremely important. I don't know if you read the JCCF release. If you just type in JCCF Peaceman, it'll come up, okay?
Okay.
In that release, it says who I've worked for in the past and that I have that I maintain and state that protesting peacefully is good to a healthy democracy.
Yep. Yep.
Now, since you've been talking to me, do I make sense?
Yes.
Am I clear? Am I irrational or any of those types of, you know, uh, the
Yeah,
people,
certainly. Yeah.
the people that we are dealing with, like Jason and all of these players, do not speak in this type of language. And when you try to ask them pointed questions, is when the attacks and everything else start to come because they're masking what they're doing by not answering the questions, by doing these other idiotic things. Okay?
Right.
So now you know how I got my lawyer, how I got JCCF, and I was asked by many groups to come and do speeches and things like this. At first I was afraid because I'm not a public speaker. I'm not good at it. Okay, I get emotional. This is one of my illnesses, is that I have what's called C-PTSD, C-PTSD. It's called complex PTSD. And it has to do with emotions. And if something really bothers me or I can't even speak. I have pills to help me speak, you know.
Yeah.
So I was nervous. I didn't want to do them and stuff. But then Freedom Tour, a new group, called me up and said, listen, we've got a shed on a truck. We'd like you to live in it and travel around. We want you to travel around Canada and speak and all of this. I said, okay, let's do that. So we did a couple events and stuff, but the organizational skills were just not there. Okay, it wasn't me organizing. I was just a speaker. So it didn't go that far. And but I am still the admin of Freedom Tour, which is 2.5K people. Okay. Some of those people don't want to be in Canada Unity because of the stigmas and the attacks and everything else. So those people are members of Freedom Tour, which is faith based. It's a very faith based. Now, one thing you never hear me talk about is religion. Because I don't think that
Yeah, I do notice that James does a lot.
James does a lot. And one thing I've learned in my half century, I was a Christian. I went to church more than twice a week for up until about 10 years ago. I have learned that faith is from within. It is not found under a roof. It's not found in gatherings of people. It is all within. And I don't believe that putting it out there and using it as a tool is what faith is meant to be. So I have inner faith, but I don't like to put that out there. It's none of anybody else's business on how I conduct my life that way.
Nice.
I've seen a lot of bad in the religion side. So anyways, Freedom Tour didn't work out too well, but I managed to keep those people, and I still put out great messaging all the time and stuff like that. And it's a group on Facebook. And I helped start Live from the Shed when I was in Ottawa. Live.
Oh, right. Okay.
So while I was in there, I ended up the truckers put me in a hotel room for a week with Dave from Live from the Shed. And as we were creating Live from the Shed, I helped, and you can see in the videos on my website, even the introductions from me to Jim Kerr to come to Live from the Shed, Viva Fry. I got all those people to get the viewership. Okay, that was my involvement in that. So, and I never inserted myself anywhere. I have been asked by all of these places and people to do stuff. I never asked to be involved anywhere. Okay.
Right.
So the people like Jason that insert themselves and do stuff, they ask for a lot of these things. So this gives you a big tell on when somebody is for good or evil. If they're asking to do
Right.
these things or whether you get asked. So
Right.
so
So may I just ask real quick? Oh, sorry. So I know that a lot of people that are a part of the freedom movement have different reasons that they're in it. Some of them do not believe in the vaccine. Some of them are anti-mandate, masking, things like that. I'm wondering what specifically about the way that the government has dealt with the pandemic that you specifically are against. Are you vaccinated yourself?
well, first of all, I've never answered that question because it's none of anybody else's
Not a word.
business. Okay?
You're absolutely right. I'm a reporter. I got to ask.
I know. I know.
Not a
Uh,
problem.
it may have come out or whatever, but myself, I have always called for, and you can even see it in my writing on my webpage,
Mhm.
that this is not a Canada problem. It's much larger.
Okay.
And our government, I grew up in this country. I read the Bill of Rights every morning, and I sung the national anthem when I was in school. Okay? Every day. And I believed in Canada. I believed that we were a different type of people here than what I've seen happening around the world.
I see.
And what I have seen in the last 15 years has been horrible, has been absolutely horrible. The messaging, our prime minister is unbelievable, unbelievable that he's allowed to continue and lie openly on the world stage with no accountability.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I have called for, and you can read it, and you can see it many times in my writing. I've been very consistent in my messaging. Very consistent. First of all, through peace and love, we will beat them. Okay? They don't want peace and love. Is our prime minister, is he showing peace and love? Do you believe he is showing that he can communicate to a broad range of people? No, he is not.
It's a fair question.
He is not.
Hmm.
So what I have called for is an inquiry into our involvement and stuff, our government's involvement with entities outside of Canada.
I see. Okay.
Okay, our government and many other governments have been infiltrated. You see, there's a base problem to this, and it's called currency, the failed human experiment.
Hmm.
I wrote a bit of a book on this, actually.
Really?
And
It's tough. Good for you. Holy cow.
um, this currency system that we run by as humans everybody that's alive today is bound to it. You can't have water, food, or shelter without it. So it has become more important than our basics of living. And when we get to that point, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble because not everybody can navigate the currency system. Not everybody's good at it. So what do you do with the people that are not good at it? They end up being stigmatized and degraded because they're poor, because they don't understand, or and and currency isn't a human thing. It's not something that we need to live.
Right.
So our government has changed. It has really, really changed. The messaging, the whole thing about Canada being polite and nice and everything is under attack. Okay?
Right.
It's our values that we grew up with are under attack.
I gotcha.
So I believe we need
So tell me a little.
we need an inquiry into exactly
I
this.
see.
So that's why I stand
Into
up.
the.
All of
I
those,
see. Okay.
everything else is under that umbrella of the change in our government.
Right. They're just symptoms of the problem.
So all I ever wanted was dialogue with my government, truth and honesty and all of that stuff. We never got any dialogue because, and first of all, I went to Ottawa. I didn't know anybody. Nobody. I decided to stand on the hill in peace, and anybody that came up to me, I hugged, and I said the same thing to everybody. Through peace and love, we will beat them. I whispered that in, I'd say, at least 5,000 to 6,000 people's ears. In those 25 days that I stood there, because it's on camera, I started counting how many hugs I gave out. It's over 10,000. Okay?
Wow.
In 25 days. But
So did you get sick at all?
no, exactly.
Right, that's what everybody asks.
Now, you remember at the time that this started, there was still contact tracing, there was still all of these things. And super spreader events being posted all over media. It was all BS. I'm sorry to tell you. It's all BS. So what I did was I decided to go to Ottawa. I started standing on the hill. For the first 2 days, I stood right in front of Parliament Building and on the hill. While I was standing there, I looked over and I seen a lot of bad actors, jokers with masks and stuff, dancing in front of the trucks on Wellington, and the media was eating it up. So I moved from the hill and I walked over, and there was a bunch of jokers dancing, and the media was eating it up, and I stood right in the middle of them on that yellow line in front of the trucks. And I stood there and I just started standing there. Well, after about 20 minutes, all these jokers left. And they never returned the entire 25 days that I stood there. And on the 7th day, one of the truckers posted on his timeline a beautiful message about me. And he said, "You're the type of Canadian I want in front of my truck protecting me." So then a lot of truckers started inviting me to speak to them in their trucks. And I sat in a lot of trucks and talked to people. And then I started staying inside of the shed truck. I was sleeping in there for security reasons and stuff like this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Dana. Can you give me 1 minute? I just need to go handle something. I'll be right back. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, it's closed. I'm on the I'm in my interview there, so.
I left the door open. Oh, that ain't.
Well, the inside one?
Yeah, it was cold. It was so friggin' cold.
Were you freezing?
Yes. Go to hell, you
Sorry.
little bastard. Hey, where's your... Shh. Oh, okay. All right. Excuse me? Coffee. Coffee's ready.
Yeah, okay. She had to take care of something. She'll be right back.
I'll have to go to dinner. Yeah, it's ready. I'll get her in the cup ready to go. Take that one, you gotta.
It is cold out there, though.
Yeah, well, can you imagine with the door open? Yeah. I had to go to the bathroom. Oh, shit, what? It's cold. So I gotta look up what this is going to what's glass. We got the container. I have to kill the back.